Hi, Debbie here. Last March, I purchased a Easter kit from Annie, who is Miss Garden Grove 1 here on YouTube, and I'm finally getting around to doing it. I mean, I pulled out all my Peter Rabbit stuff, and this was in with it, and so I thought I just might as well go ahead and do it because, yeah. The kit also included these little um, pages. This is for like a mini book. If you want to make a little like a mini album. I didn't do that with this yet. I'm gonna hold off on that because for one thing it's egg shaped and I couldn't figure out how I was going to bind it. And but I will do that on another video because it comes with the pages, and she also gives you little printouts to put the little book together, but that's going to be another project. Right now I just want to show you the egg. Now the egg comes, it's with a tin, and I painted the tin and I decorated it with the laces and trims that she had in the kit. So let me show you how this turned out. This is, I'm going to show you briefly, this is one side, and then this is the other side. So I went ahead and made it two different ways because the egg, when it's together, is really, really tight, and it's very hard to get this apart. So once it was together, I kind of just like decorated around it. But let me show you the beautiful laces and trims that come in this kit. Now this was last year's Easter kit. I don't know what she's doing this year because I got this last March, 2019. And so yeah, so I have no idea what she's coming up with this year, but this is what I got last year, and I'm finally doing it. So you can see I have a little bow, and I have actually a little sequins with a bead in there, and then we have the little bunny, this little bunny cameo. Well, it's a fabric one, and so yeah. And then I just cut out pieces of the applique that came with the kit, and I just cut it and put it around. And there's a little process video right after this if you want to see how I put it together. It's not really a tutorial, it's just kind of like showing you how I just came about putting it together. And then you can see I've got some more trims here, and a lot of, well, there's just a lot. This is so pretty. And then we got this applique here. I had these on there, and I just actually stuck one of the little flowers that came with her kit in there. And then these are just cut aparts from the appliques that I put around. I put some flat back pearls down the side, and I actually went around and filled in some of the areas with more pearls and beads on this side. This side has all the beads and everything. This side does not. And I mean, it has a little bit that were on the flower here and here, but not all around like the other side does. So this is the altered egg, and it will come apart, but it's just going to be very, very hard. And I didn't do anything on the bottom because if you want to get this egg apart, you're going to have to pry it open from the bottom to pop it a little bit because this fits so tightly together. And the album was supposed to go inside here, but because it fits so tight, I'm not doing that. I'm going to leave it empty. Well, anyway, this is what I made using Miss Garden Grove's 1 Easter kit, and I will leave a link to her YouTube channel in the description box below. And she also, excuse me, she also has a Facebook group, and so yeah, and I'm sure a lot of you know her anyway. So anyway, this is the egg, and I finally finished it, and it turned out so pretty. It really turned out really nice. I just have it sitting up like that for the video, but yeah. And so stay tuned for the process if you want to see how I put it together, and I want to thank you for watching. Okay, this is what was in the March kit. This was in 2019. I purchased this from Annie, who is Miss Garden Grove 1 here on YouTube and on Facebook. And it comes with the tin egg and all these little embellishments. Annie does really good with her kits, putting things together. And we got, fabric flowers, and we got some bows, and some rolled roses, and some fluffy or loopy flowers, and some more rolled roses. We have this here. We have these little foamy eggs, some leaves, some little flowers. So that's that. For the embellishment part of it, then these little bunnies to put on your egg. So we've got these little bunnies here. And some trims. She always puts a lot of different trims in here. We have this one right here. And a piece of lace. A piece of lace to go around the egg to decorate it how you like. And we have with this piece here. And she tea dyes her, and avocado dyes her laces and trims. We have this one. And we have this really nice size one here too. Oh. And then we have this little bunny. And some of these. As a matter of fact, you have quite a few of those. She cut a lot of these pieces of applique. So we have a lot of those. We have this little leaf trim here. And here's another real pretty trim. Yeah, so she really gives you a lot to work with altering this little egg. And here's another little applique piece here. We have this trim. This is more tea dye trims. A couple of doilies. And we have this. Excuse me. And we have this trim. Oh my goodness. And we have this here. So we have all these little trims to work with. Now the hardest part about this whole kit is going to be, she's given us 5 of these eggs. They're fabric. And she has them covered in lace. And they are to make, 5. And they are to make a little book, which is going, I've never made an egg-shaped book, and then she's given us some images to use on our book. And then we've got this, and this is one of my favorite images. And she's even outlined it out for easy cutting for the book. She's given a lot to do this for your pages. So I think that's going to be the hardest challenge of this whole kit, is that's trying to figure out how to put an egg-shaped page together. I don't know if I'm going to just use a ring and just do it with a ring, or if I can figure out some kind of binding system. Well, anyway, this is what is that was included in her March kit, and this was in 2019. I purchased this kit. So, so let's see what I can come up with. Even though this egg is really pretty, I mean, it is a cute Easter egg, what I'm going to do is I am going to cover the whole thing in white gesso as a primer, and then I'm going to go over it again with some white chalk paint. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you how it turns out. Well, I have it painted. I put 2 coats of gesso, and I thought I'd let it dry all the way before I put my coat of chalk paint on, but it must not have been dry totally, because look at the effect I got. Look at that crackle effect. I wasn't going for it, but I'm loving how it turned out. I mean, I thought I had it dried all the way, but I'm loving this crackle effect. At first I didn't know if this is what this paint does, because this is the first time I'm using a chalk paint. So I Googled it, and it did say that sometimes this paint will crackle. And so anyway, this is the crackle effect I got. And it wasn't even my intention, but I'm loving how it came out. I didn't put any paint here because I had put this together just to see how it, just to make sure it would go back. And it goes together so tightly that it almost took me 5 minutes to pull this apart. So when I do this egg together, it's going to stay together. I'm not going to glue it, but I'm going to, when I embellish it, make sure I don't put anything in the way that once it's together, if you wanted to try to pry it apart, you could. But I am not going to put anything in here. I originally was going to put a little mini album in there, but this is so hard to open that I'm afraid tugging on it, you could, dislodge the embellishments that are on it and stuff like that. So I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to put it together, and then I'll decorate around it and make sure I don't cover up the seam in case you want to try to pop it. I mean, you can pop it open. I had to use tweezers and get in there and pop it open, but I have never had a container so hard for me to pull apart. Now, I'm not young, but I'm not a weakling either, but I could not get this thing apart easily at all. So, well, that's what I'm just going to tell you about. I'm going to do about that. I'm just going to put it together and maybe put it on a little stand. I'm not sure. When I have it together, I'll see how this stands on its own, because if I put it on a stand, I would end up making it to the point where you can't open it, and I really didn't want to do that in case somebody wanted to use it, and put something inside. And yeah, I mean, this thing is so tight. Once you have it in there, it would definitely be something you want to keep secret, because no one's going to get in there. Well, anyway, it's painted. I'm just going to play around with my trims that I have here. I got such pretty trims that were in this kit to see how I want to decorate this egg. So I'm just going to play around, and I'll put some on. I won't glue them on anything. I'll just play around a little bit, and then I'll show you what I've come up with before I do any gluing, because I got some really pretty laces to play with. So let me see what I can come up with as far as some kind of a arrangement on the egg. And so I'm going to put the egg together and play around, and then I'll show you what I've come up with. Okay, I put the egg together, and the egg does stand on its own, so I'm just going to, when I decorate it, I'm just going to make sure that it can stand. And because yeah, I cannot get this thing apart no matter how hard I try. I had to get in there before and just kind of pop it open, but I've never had a container that's been so hard to open. Usually you get them and it's always the opposite, they're really loose, and but this one was super tight. So yeah, I have to take it apart. It's going to be easier for me to decorate it with them sitting flat, because together this was rolling around, and it was just hard. So anyway, I'm going to do like something like this on one side with this piece of trim. Of course, I need to cut it and everything, but just to give you an idea. And this on the other side. So there won't really be a front and back. Both sides will be decorated, and you can just look at whatever side you want. So I'm just going to kind of like start. This is going to be my starting point, putting these on, and then I'll just work around them. So this is going to be that, and this is going to be that. So I'm just going to attach these a little bit, just in little areas, just to hold it in place while I work around as far as putting little trims around the edges. Okay, I have the big appliques on. I have one on this side, and I have one on this side. So what I'm going to do, I have all these little pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut these apart and just start putting in, just filling some of these little spaces here with those. So I'll just kind of cut those up, fill in some of the spaces, and then I'll show you how it turned out. Okay, I have the trims all on that I'm going to be putting on for now. So I have these all done. So what the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put some trim around the edges. For this one here, I want to use a white trim, and I know this isn't white, but the reason I want to use this white trim is because in the center here, I have this little bunny that I'm going to be putting in the center. And since he's white, I figured I could use the white trim to do that. So I'm going to be going around the edge on this one with the white trim, and then I plan on putting the little bunny in the center of this here. So that's what I'm planning on doing with this piece. Now for this piece here, since these are dyed, hand dyed, so they don't always come out the same color. So the ones that I added on are a little bit darker than the original applique was. But this trim right here is that color. So this is what I'm going to do with this side of the egg, is I'm going to take this trim and I'm going to go around the edge of this, because it'll bring out the color of the other pieces that I add as fillers. So I will be putting this trim around this piece here. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. And so let me do that, and then I'll show you how it turned out. Okay, this is what it's looking like so far. I got the two trims going around. And I also cut the trim that I was actually going to put here. I actually cut this one here. That's what I was originally going to use. But I changed my mind and decided to use this trim instead. And then I just cut pieces of this and just put those on the bottom like that. And I'm not going to do anything with this because you need it to stand. And also, if you want to open this, you can pry it open from the bottom. You know, you can pop it open that way. And because I just cannot get this thing open. And I didn't want to cover it in case you want to open it. So what I'm going to do now, so I have a lot of these little embellishments that came with the little kit. And I was thinking of opening these up a little bit and sticking some of them kind of like in here. So I was going to play with these embellishments here. I'm not going to use too many of them because to me they're just too big for what I want to use on this. But I do have some flowers that I might put on. I wanted to use the little bunny. Let me get that off. In here. You know, put that on there like that. And then I just didn't know what I wanted to put here. Whether I wanted to put something like this here, or if I wanted to use one of these, or if I wanted to totally not use anything here and get something out of my stash, put something like this here. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I'm going to play around with putting some of the embellishments on. I got some leaves I can cut out of this trim here and put that around. So I am going to play with my embellishments, maybe put some pearls in the center of the flowers on this trim, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I've got it pretty much finished. See what I've done on this. That's going to be this side, the side with the bunny. And I just put a bow, and I put a little sequins and a little pearl in the center of the sequin. And I just cut out one of the flowers from the appliques and just put that there. And I cut another one on the top there. And then for the other side, we have this. So this is what this side looks like. Some more cut from the appliques. A lot of pearls on this side. This side has a lot of the pearls. And I filled in some spaces with more pearls too. And so yeah, so this is how this side turned out. So we've got the two sides, and I'm just going to paint it, touch up the bottom a little bit more, and then that's it. So this is how the egg turned out. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I'm just going to set that there, and I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.